Laramie Lars Barriga is without a doubt one of the most developed characters in Steven Universe, behind only to Steven himself and Peridot. And that's not surprising as, along with Sadie, he's one of Rebecca Sugar's earliest characters, dating all the way back to the work she produced in college. That being said, it's not a shock he was repurposed when planning Steven Universe, transforming him into a role of utmost importance among the other townies. With all the major events that transpired and directly impacted Lars these last few episodes, the future of his character has been speculated among fans of the show. However, just evaluating everything we've seen and know about Lars, I believe he's not going back to his life on Earth. What will happen to his character, and more importantly, what will happen to his relationship with Sadie, his parents? Let's talk about that today on Crystal Clear.
He's pissed!
No! Twitchy McCree, are you? Oh, mannequin! Oh, she came rushing for me. Come to me, my lover. Come to me. We shall be wed in the morning.
And he looks at me, and I look at him.
Welcome back to Crystal Clear on the Roundtable. I'm your host, Ostrich Voss. Thinking back to where Steven Universe and its fan base was this time last year, and comparing to how everything is now, I'm just completely blown away, especially when examining how everyone felt about Lars compared to now. Hell, even up to a few months ago, a majority of Steven Universe's audience despised Lars, and couldn't care less where he ended up. In the eyes of many fans, he was a lost cause, someone who was incapable of growth, and would never change. That he was destined to be this irredeemable jackass who manipulates Sadie and neglects Steven, who just simply wants to be his friend. Even now, a lot of people still don't care for Lars or buy into the belief that he's a changed man. The problem back then, and even now, was that the progression of Lars' character arc already took off long before he was kidnapped by Topaz and Aquamarine. He was already maturing into a better person than he was originally, but what was the exact moment that pinpointed this shift? Well, I'd like to take some time to look over Lars' journey and use that to postulate the direction his character will take in the near future. Starting at Season 1, Lars, along with Sadie, is actually the second character introduced in the entire series all the way back in Gemglow. Lars' role in the episode is very brief, and is really only to help establish Steven's love for Cookie Cats, and that the confectionery treat is no more. However, despite that scene only lasting a minute, it tells you almost everything you need to know about Lars' personality and relationship with Steven. While Sadie tries to comfort Steven and empathize with his loss, Lars remains blunt throughout, and unnecessarily taunting Steven, addressing Cookie Cats as wimpy, and even targeting Steven's gem as if it's something lame and to be ashamed of. Lars doesn't like to sugarcoat. He belittles those he views as easy targets, although as the season progresses, it's apparent Steven's the only easy target Lars has. When Steven's learning how to shapeshift, Lars claims that Steven, much like the newly formed Catfinger, has no friends. When Steven's trapped in his own bubble with Connie, Lars takes advantage of the situation to once again tease Steven, even after Sadie advises against it. When first watching through Season 1 properly, this is the moment I realized Lars only lashes out and projects his insecurities onto Steven. If Lars was just a typical bully, he would have made a remark towards Connie as well, yet doesn't scold her in any way, not even for associating herself with Steven. Despite dishing out roasts left and right, Lars has been shown that he can't handle being mistreated himself when Steven's persona, Tiger Millionaire, refuses to autograph Lars' soda, knocking it out of his hands. For the remainder of the episode, he detests Tiger, revealing just how susceptible he is to the very same behavior he demonstrates. Lars and the Cool Kids was our first taste of how Lars handles his anxiety in relation to both his behavior and interaction with Steven. Lars fears his true personality and association with Steven will cause the Cool Kids to reject him from the group, and puts on a facade as a result. This exposes even more insecurities, ashamed of his employment at the Big Donut, and lashes out towards Steven for anything he does, which annoys the Cool Kids throughout the episode. This episode is what cemented the community's large disdain for Lars, due to him criticizing Rose Quartz after everyone gets tangled up in the magic moss, aware of her absence in Steven's life, as he's aware of Steven's living arrangements. Considering Lars was a factor in the Cool Kids ending up in danger for dismissing Steven's warnings, this was viewed as absolutely despicable, and Laramie was quickly at the top of the shit list for many. Lars and Steven make amends by the end of the episode, but the moment quickly fades on Lars' end. Joking Victim dives into Lars' relationship with Sadie, as she confides in Steven a story of the time they bonded over video games, although the subtext suggests they could have gotten more intimate that night. Sadie's feelings for Lars are apparent, and he uses this as leverage when faking his injury to get out of work, aware that she won't look too much into it. Now, I've always felt the critical response to Lars in this episode was understandable, yet a bit too much. I don't think under any circumstance he should have lied to Sadie, but generally skipping work doesn't make anyone an awful person. Sometimes you just need a day off. Although I'm assuming Lars' past actions up to this point factors into why fans were being so harsh. At the same time, I don't think anyone denies he paid the price by his mouth being literally set on fire. From here, the relationship is elaborated on in the episode Island Adventure. This episode contrasts from joking victim as Sadie's the one to deceive Lars, although her intentions were to benefit both of them. Ultimately, up until the episode's climax, she disregarded the emotional turmoil he suffered by being stranded on an island, so she still took a pretty big L. And we see that Lars has genuine feelings for Sadie. They even share a kiss after Lars opens up to her in the aftermath of a breakdown. He questions Sadie if she ever feels alone, even in the company of others, informing the audience that Lars may suffer from depression. This episode was the first time we actually began to understand Lars' actions on a deeper level, and where personally, anything I held against him subsided. Side note, we're also introduced to Lars' cooking skills in this episode, which is followed up on in Season 4. The final piece of development we receive before Lars' character arc truly begins to advance is in the episode Horror Club, aka the episode where
Curly Fries man who attempts to murder a character on screen and everyone just seems to be cool with it.
we see what might have been the catalyst for Lars' present day behavior. Once upon a time, Lars and Renato were best friends, until an instance where Lars attempts to carve his name into the lighthouse gem, who retaliates by hitting him across the room. Renato documents all this on camera, wanting to share this interaction with what he finds to be the supernatural, but Lars fears Renato would intentionally embarrass him, and proceeds to destroy the photo. This results in the end of their friendship, and develops a present-day conflict in the episode. Renato attempts to make amends, but Lars tries to avoid the confrontation. From all these encounters, we can gather that Lars is not comfortable with who he is, and as a result, belittles others because of it. In fact, it appears part of the reason he mocks others is to beat them to the punch, if the flashback in Horror Club was any indication. He lacks the confidence to stand up for himself or anybody, severely underestimating his own abilities, something that he even states himself during Wanted. So when does Lars' character arc finally begin to progress? Well, he's absent throughout most Season 2 and 3, making very short appearances and a handful of episodes. But there's one episode that serves as a turning point, and that's the new Lars. We got a glimpse into Lars' home life, revealing that he's struggling in school, but it's unknown if that's due to a lack of motivation or genuine trouble studying and applying what he learned to assignments. And at this point in the series, I doubt we'll ever find out. We also discovered Lars is just a nickname, as the name Laramie, which by the way means Tears of Love, might just be lacking in the masculinity department. We also get to somewhat experience how the citizens of Beach City would react if Lars wasn't insecure and was honest with his feelings and expressing himself. They'd all be a little off guard. Sadie legitimately thought Lars was toying with her emotions. The moment that causes a shift in Lars' character transpires at the very end of the episode, when Lars comes to the realization that everyone, with the exception of Sadie, was happier with Steven Lars rather than the real Lars. Due to this, Lars is seen to be a lot more open and comfortable with who he associates himself with in his following appearances. He's seen hanging out with Sadie outside of work, even holding her hand. Something I always found as a huge sign Lars was changing was him abandoning his snake tee in favor of the shirt Steven wore when possessing his body. He's also more comfortable with Steven, and Tiger Philanthropist, he still gets annoyed that Steven holds so much concern for his well-being, but by the good Lars, you can see that they're genuinely friends. Unfortunately, the subtle progression Lars undergoes begins to backtrack, as what was likely an anxiety attack transpires off screen, and he ditches Steven and Sadie, never arriving to the party that would have been his big break into the cool kids clique. We quickly discover Lars, along with a few other townies, have been abducted by Topaz and Aquamarine, which leads to another huge backtrack in his development. Lars failing to help Sadie by standing up to Topaz. We can see he definitely contemplates helping, but turns his back on her at the last second out of fear. This of course brings us to the Wanted arc, where Lars admits to himself everything we already gathered up to this point, beating himself up, addressing himself as a wuss that can't sit up for anyone, not even himself. Despite this, he does his best to look on the bright side, which surprises Steven and the audience. The rest from here on out is history. Lars witnesses Steven's trial against the Diamonds, they both flee, meet the Off-Colors, and Lars' character arc starts to become full circle as he finally sticks up for both himself and the Off-Colors, taking out the shattering Robonoids, but unfortunately gets himself killed. This leads to Steven resurrecting Lars, which at first startles him, but quickly we notice an immediate change in Lars' behavior. He's freaked out at his new pigmentation and magic hair, but adjusts unusually quick, especially by his own standards. Suddenly, despite looking like Patrick Star, Lars seems to be comfortable and confident with himself. If I had to chalk this up to anything, it'd be the fact that even if it was for a hot minute, Lars died. Obviously, I haven't experienced that personally, but I would imagine that would without a doubt change anyone. I believe he's no longer insecure because he's just grateful to still be alive. He naturally comes to his own conclusion that his guts are now magic, and when Steven returns from Earth, he's seen, for lack of better words, playing with himself. He's not upset at all. And as he tells the Off-Colors, he took the Earth for granted. Not to mention the very powerful line he drops to Steven at the end of Lars' head.
You brought me back to life. Just let me be somebody who deserved it.
Something else I also found really neat at first, Lars is quick to reject physical gestures. And that's something consistent about Lars' character up until the episode Lars' Head, which mirrors a scene in Lars and the Cool Kids.
Okay. Steven!
So, where does this leave Lars? Why exactly does this mean he won't resume his old life on Earth? Well, as we all know, there's an upcoming episode that reveals his new life as a space pirate, known as Lars of the Stars. However, all we can really gather from what's released is that Lars and the Off-Colors are just trying to escape from Homeworld's radar. They've managed to successfully hijack a ship, but what's their overarching plan? I believe whatever plan they devise, it'll tie into Lars' character arc. Hence why he won't be going back to his old life. After everything that's happened to Lars, I can't see him going back to being a donut shop boy with a low GPA. That Lars is now a relic of the past, who was an insecure, impulsive boy who bullied others to cope with his own problems. And unfortunately, that Lars is the one tied to the Big Donut and Beach City. The agenda may have been to retreat to Earth, where the Off-Colors can spend the rest of their days peacefully, and where Lars can now live his life as a respectable member of society, but already too much has happened for that to work out. Emerald, and subsequently the rest of Homeworld, will be on their tail. They've gotten themselves promoted from unneeded Off-Colors to dangerous, wanted criminals. By residing on the planet, they'd be endangering Earth more so than it already is, and I'm positive none of them want that. It doesn't stop there. There's also comparing the old Lars to the new Lars. The old Lars lacked a purpose. He just wanted to fit in and be accepted. But what was the target afterwards? The new Lars has a purpose, and I believe that purpose is what he expressed throughout Wanted, the desire to stick up for others. That desire lands Homeworld on Lars' list of enemies, beyond the fact they're out to kill Steven. Now, there's been very vague rumors flying around that something negative would happen to Lars soon, and he ceased being a character, that we won't see him at all. I'm not certain of the legitimacy of these rumors, and if it was solid confirmation they were real, I wouldn't even discuss them at all. But it's interesting seeing fans of the character get so worked up over it. It really had me thinking. I don't see him being killed off again, and I don't see the purpose of him being captured and imprisoned. If that's the case, what was the point of having him become a space pirate and getting off Homeworld in the first place? Would have been better off keeping him stranded. Depending on how you look at it, the negative thing could be referring to his relationship with Sadie. That it won't escalate romantically because, again, he won't be resuming his former life on Earth. I do believe Lars will return to Earth one last time, but he won't be staying there. I believe we'll have an episode where he's back in Beach City, on old stomping grounds, but only so he can give a proper goodbye to his parents and Sadie. Perhaps he'll apologize to Ronaldo and the Cool Kids. Either way, it'd be a very pulling at the heartstrings moment. Why is he saying goodbye? Where is he going? Well, he's Lars of the Stars now, and as far as I'm concerned, it appears as if Homeworld never ceased their colonization of other planets. There's breadcrumbs here and there that imply Homeworld's encountering other species pretty often. As we speculated before on this channel, it appears Stevonnie will be crash landing on an alien planet at the end of Lars of the Stars. I'm confident this will be a gem-controlled planet, an unfinished colony, or at least a planned one. So I bet this will be the eye-opening moment for Lars and his crew. That, hey, Steven has people he needs to protect. People that need him. Whatever happens on Earth, that's his fight. But whatever happens out here, that's my fight now. Steven can take care of Sadie while I'm gone. I believe that Lars' exit for the show, at least for a while, will be him and the Off-Colors going off to aid other aliens in need. liberating them from Homeworld's tyranny. Keep in mind, since about Season 2, the series has been slowly building towards another war, and after Steven fled from the Diamonds, it appears as the tensions will escalate more than they ever have before. It feels like with each major arc in the series, we're being introduced to more and more allies of the Crystal Gems that will take their side in a climactic battle. If Lars embarks on a journey to save alien planets from colonization, those same aliens will pop back up with Lars in the final confrontation of Homeworld, serving a greater purpose in the story. We may have Steven pop in every now and then, but for the most part, Lars and the Off-Colors will be on their own. This is his calling, his destiny. Anything else, and they may be wasting great potential. But as always, these are just my thoughts, my ideas, my speculation, and I'd love to hear yours. What do you think is going to happen to Lars? Do you agree that he's abandoning his own life on Earth? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section below. Don't forget you can buy a Yellow Diamond t-shirt and a Blue Diamond t-shirt, available as women's fit and a hoodie too. Links to those in the description. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, it really helps us out. Links to everything in the description down below. Awestruck Vox, signing out. This video has been powered by Patreon. If you want to give us some more support, head to patreon.com/roundtablevids, become a patron, and get some awesome perks. Thanks for watching another video on the Roundtable. If you want to get more involved with our community and watch videos from Let's Talk with Tom, VoxBox, and more, click the video right here. Or if you want to get some more of the animation goodness, watch some Crystal Clear or Meaning Monday, click the video right here. And please, don't forget to subscribe.